In the real world, an introverted boy Takuma spends all of his time playing an MMO game called Cross Reverie. As he has no friends, he dedicates all of his attention to the game and is number 1 on the leaderboard by quite a margin. His character Diablo is a sorcerer who is so overpowered that he has no one to test his true strengths on. Out of nowhere, he is summoned as his character by Rem and Shera with a summoning ritual to an alternate world that is almost pretty much the same as Cross Reverie. The girls had to kiss Diablo on the cheeks to summon him and cast an enslavement spell on him. The girls did this on the Starfall Tower, which is a place to summon other beings and enslave them. Diablo suddenly speaks, which surprises the girls as summons never talk and just obey. The girls fight with each other about who messed up the ritual. Diablo makes the two shake hands with each other forcibly and then get a magical collar around their neck. Throughout his adventure as the character, Diablo managed to get a ring that reverses all magic that is cast on him, so the ritual is reversed, and the girls are now bound to him. Diablo announces himself to the girls as the demon lord who is feared by everyone. Later, the group goes to an inn in Faltra city to get a room for themselves. They are forced to sleep in a single bed as there are no other rooms available. Afterward, a woman named Seals enters the room with her followers. Diablo recognizes her as the head of the Mage Association who maintains the barrier. They later sit at a table with the group. As Diablo can't dispel the collars by himself, Seals wants to research a way to remove these. One of Seals' followers gets angry at Diablo as he was using his over-the-top arrogant tune against Seals. Although Diablo is internally afraid, he gives a frightening reply to Gallic, which Seals also agrees with. When Seals goes away, Diablo asks Rem about his relationship with Seals. When Rem refuses to speak, Diablo thinks that this must be a secret that is relevant to the main story, so he takes Rem back to the room to torture her and get the secret out. Diablo tortures her in a very weird way until Rem confesses. Rem says that the soul of the demon lord Krebskulm is sealed within her body. Diablo remembers Krebskulm as the hardest boss in the game. Rem wants to be released of this inherited curse to host the demon lord's body, so Diablo promises to help him. Rem gets emotional hearing this as no one has ever offered to help her before. Later, as he is sitting in the town at night, Diablo is approached by Gallic and some man because of the humiliation he faced earlier. He summons a level 30 salamander and threatens Diablo with it. However, Diablo finds it pretty weak as its level is too weak compared to his level, which is 150. He quickly disposes of the summon and tells a frightened Gallic that he is a demon lord from another world. The next morning, Diablo goes to the streets with the girls and notices that there are not many humans in this city. Later, they go to the Adventurers Guild to register themselves as adventurers. Diablo makes Shera register him to the guild as he is unable to read but pretends that such work is unnecessary for him. After registering, the group stands before a mirror to get their power levels monitored. Rem is a level 40 while Shera is only level 30. After the girls, Diablo goes in front of the mirror, but his power is so high that it causes a burst of lighting everywhere as the mirror is unable to gauge his power level. Because of the ruckus, the guild master Sylvie arrives and invites them to her office. She states that there aren't any jobs that are up to Diablo's standards, but Diablo wants to work as he only cares about the rewards. Hearing this, Sylvie gives them a quest to defeat a Madara snake in the man-eating woods. On the way, the group realizes that this quest was posted by Seals and wonders about the reason behind her posting this. Tired of walking, Diablo thinks that they should use a teleport spell. However, unlike the game, there are no teleport spells this time. After they reach the man-eating woods, Shera notices that they are surrounded by people. Diablo casts his spell Burst Rain and sets the trees around him on fire. The people are revealed to be elves. Among them is Celsior, who Shera knows about. Celsior mentions that Shera is the princess of the kingdom of Greenwood and wants to take her back so she can marry her brother and bear his child. Shera refuses to go back there and wants to create her destiny by herself. Celsior then decides to take her by force, but Diablo puts a stop to their efforts and freezes the nearby area with his spell Freesia. After the elves were defeated, Gallic appears and it is revealed that he was the mastermind behind it. Gallic then runs away and Shera tells Celsior that she is never going to return to be the princess of Greenwood. Afterward, the group decides to go back to the inn to get some rest. At night, Shera and Diablo are having an intimate moment with each other until it is interrupted by Rem, who gets angry seeing them doing the typical Isekai'd anime stuff. Diablo and the girls are sitting in Sylvie's office the next day. Sylvie has a special commission specifically for Diablo which was submitted by Seals. The commission is to deliver some refreshments to the Bridge of Ulug. Rem refuses to do this commission as she already feels indebted to Seals, and now she is sending them on an easy commission for some good reward. As Diablo and Shera were about to leave and say goodbye to Rem, a man named Emil stops them. Emil is level 50 and claims to be the protector of all women. He then challenges Diablo to a duel and manages to impress him. However, given the huge difference in their powers, Emil gets defeated easily. After his loss, he introduces himself again and offers them to contact him if they ever need help. Afterward, Diablo and Shera make their way to the Bridge of Ulrug. On the way, Shera wants to take a bath in a nearby river, but Diablo rejects and they continue their travels. When they reach the Bridge of Ulrug, they are stopped by some soldiers who mistake Diablo for a fallen. However, one of the guards recognizes Diablo as his name is spreading around the city a lot. The two then learn from that guard that an army of fallen is heading their way. Diablo remembers that fallen used to be really tough enemies alone and wonders why they are marching as an army. Shera thinks that the fallen are marching because they want to revive Krebskull. The guard then gives Diablo a notice that indicates that he completed the commission. However, Diablo decides to help them against the fallen invasion. Back at the inn, Seals tells Rem that she fired Galak because of his false actions. Seals is also suspicious of Diablo, thinking that he might be a fallen as well, but Rem defends him by saying that he had plenty of chances to kill her but decided to protect her instead. As they were talking, Galak arrives at the scene and stabs himself with a black dagger. Rem summons a snake to stop him, but Galak manages to transform into a fallen called Gregor. On the other hand, the commander of the fallen army Edelgard confronts Diablo in a one-on-one fight as he was laying waste to her troops. Gregory turns Seals' followers into minced meat and starts to chase her and Rem when they run away. The girls soon reach a dead end in an alleyway and are cornered by Gregor. Rem summons a bull-like creature called a Sulau to defend herself and Seals, but Gregor defeats it with a single punch. As he was about to approach them, Emil arrives along with a group of adventurers to help the girls. He starts his fight with Gregory but turns out to be no match for him. However, he keeps on going because of his will to protect all women. Elsewhere, Edelgard is fighting with Diablo and manages to hit him with her special ability Sacrifice Charge. However, the ability did not affect Diablo. Diablo then talks to himself internally that it's the first time that a spell had some effect on him in this world. As they were talking, Diablo is informed by a guard and Shera that Faltra City is under attack by a fallen who is focusing on Seals and Rem. Thinking that he has no time to waste now, Diablo casts a powerful spell called Nova and lays waste to the entire fallen army except Edelgard, who is severely injured instead. Afterward, Diablo uses a spell called Returns and goes back to the city with Shera. In the city, Gregor has defeated all of the adventures and Emily is on his last breath as well. Luckily, Diablo arrives just in time and thanks Emil for his efforts. Gregor then shoots a spell Dark Bullet on Diablo, but he reflects the spell using his magical ring that reflects or absorbs all attacks. After injuring him, Diablo traps Grigori in an endless void for eternity with his magic spell Narku. After all of this, the city people attend a huge funeral of all the casualties that happened because of Gregor and start to repair the city of the damages it received. At night after 10 days, Diablo is resting in his bed when suddenly Shera comes into the room in vulgar clothes and gets on top of him to help him recover his mana. She was given this idea out of fun by Sylvie. Rem suddenly enters the room and springs kicks Shera as she was disgusted by what she just saw. However, Shera refuses to let go of Diablo, so Rem joins her as well. Right after, Sylvie enters the room and says that the Lord of Faltra is told to hand over Shera to the Elven Kingdom in 10 days, otherwise they won't hesitate to wage war. Sylvie asks Diablo if he will accept this quest and prevent the kingdoms from waging war with each other. Diablo gets scared internally as he doesn't know how to resolve this. Sylvie then adds to the information that Shera's brother Prince Kira has put a huge bounty on Shera's head. The bounty is so huge that the person who receives it won't have to work anymore his entire life. Hearing this, Diablo gets angry and decides to accept the quest and meet the Lord of the city. The group then makes their way to Lord Galfred's manor. On the way, Sylvie tells Diablo to control his usual arrogant self as Galfred is a cold and harsh person. When they reach the manor, everyone introduces themselves to Galfred, but Diablo stays in his character and asks Galfred if he wants to be turned into ashes when Galfred asks about his powers. Galfred then tells everyone that all of this could be resolved easily if Shera goes back to the kingdom, but Diablo refuses the idea. Shera says that she abandoned her kingdom so she can achieve her goals and desires through her hard work. Seeing that they are not gonna give up on Shera, Galfred introduces Alicia to everyone, who is an Imperial Knight from the capital. Diablo mentions that Imperial Knights are one of the most elite soldiers and wonders if there was a character like her in the game. What is even more special is that Alicia is a woman and women are very rare in the Imperial Knights. Alicia then introduces herself to everyone, gives some reparations from the king to Sylvie, and honors Shera's decision about living a free life. She then compliments Diablo for his role against the Fallen invasion, but Diablo stays in his character and tells her to not speak to him so frivolously unless she wants to die. Alicia, being her diligent self, tells Diablo that she is ready to face everything. Afterward, Diablo goes to a weaponsmith for a worse weapon so he doesn't accidentally kill people in front of an Imperial Knight. Just when he gets the weapon, Shera gets kidnapped by two sisters and some goons start fighting with Diablo, Rem, and Alicia. Diablo immediately defeats two goons and goes to help Shera while Rem and Alicia take care of the rest of the goons. Emil then makes his entrance and frees Shera from the kidnappers. He then ties all of the goons together and plans to turn all of them into honest people that won't dare to harm a woman again. Shera then decides to stay close to Diablo so such an incident won't happen again. Afterward, Alicia gets hungry so the group goes to eat something. The group is joined by Seals, who tells everyone that she has figured out a way to remove the enslavement collars from Rem and Shera. She tells everyone that a slave caravan came in yesterday and set up a market in the city. The slave has the same collars as Rem and Shera. Diablo thinks that the issue with the Elven nation would be stopped the moment he goes there, so he decides to take a little detour to the slave market. Diablo has the typical slave image in his mind before he reached the slave market, but when he goes there, he is surprised to see the slaves there. The owner of the slave market, Medios, thinks that Diablo is here to sell some slaves of himself. She also notices the immense magical energy coming out of Diablo, which Shera notices as well. Rem and Alicia are shocked to know that Shera could see magical energy all this time. Medios then reads a letter from Seals notifying her about Rem and Shera's situation and agrees to help them remove the collars. Before she initiated the procedure, she notices a weird magical flow coming out of Rem and asks if she is pregnant from a demon. Feeling weird after hearing this, Rem goes outside with Alicia while Diablo learns from Medios about how to remove the collar by touching the source of the collar's magic with his magic. However, the magical structure of the collar turns out to be too complex for Diablo to solve and remove, as he just learned to inject his magical power into someone. Later that night, when everyone was present in the inn, Shera's older brother Kira comes to the room whilst playing his flute. Diablo immediately goes aggressive on him, knowing that he put a bounty on Shera, and says that he doesn't intend to hand Shera over to him. However, Kira says that he is just here to see his sister and blames the bounty and threats of war on his father. Kira is acting all nice and apologetic, which Shera finds fake. Kira then leaves, but before he left, he tells everyone that he will return tomorrow and asks Shera if she wants to come home with no pressure from anywhere else. Diablo and Kira both promise to agree to whatever choice Shera will make. Diablo is sure that she won't go back to the kingdom under any circumstance. Late at night, Shera and Rem talk with each as they are unable to sleep while Diablo is secretly listening to them. Shera mentions that she isn't sure if her brother was lying or not. She mentions that she wants to open a cafe with her only two friends, Rem and Diablo. Elsewhere, Kira is playing his flute on top of a free and claims that Shera will be his tomorrow and will bear his child. While sleeping, Diablo dreams about when he was a child, when two kids just used him to get stronger equipment for a game and were just faking their friendship with him. He then wakes him and finds himself in an awkward situation. Afterward, Rem goes to report the encounter with Kira to Seals while Alicia goes to report it to Galford. At the inn's room, Diablo starts creating some health potions, however he doesn't remember the exact method to it as in the game. It could be done with just some clicks. However, he focuses on Shera and Kano create the potions by merely letting his hands move on his own. As they were talking, Shera is put to a hypnosis by the sound of the flute that Kira was producing. Under the hypnosis, she tells Diablo that she wants to return to her home in Greenwood as the princess and leaves on a wagon with Kira. Diablo feels betrayed and disheartened by what just happened. When Rem and Alicia return, they are notified by Diablo that Shera left for Greenwood. Rem asks him if he is going to do something about it, but Diablo says that he is just going to sleep and goes back to his room. Rem hears him cry from outside the room and goes inside to talk with him. She tells Diablo that Shera is too dumb to put up an act and she is unable to lie. Because of their conversation last night, Rem believes that there is no way she would leave them behind out of her own free will, and thinks that she may be under the influence of some spell. Diablo remembers that Kira was playing his flute when Shera went away, and thinks that maybe it has some magical powers to hypnotize someone. However, he is confused about what to do as he has no concrete proof of it. Despite this, he agrees to help Rem out and puts up his arrogant demon lord act again. Alicia also agrees to help the two of them rescue Shera. Elsewhere, Kira has tied Shera with chains and mentions that the flute is a secret art of the elves, and he produced a tune that only elves can hear when he approached Shera and put her under a spell. He then puts a weird slime on Shera that eats away fabric. He plans to force himself on Shera and create an heir, but his plans are suddenly stopped when Diablo arrives at his location with Rem and Alicia. Kira gets confused as the guards didn't stop Diablo and goes outside to check the situation, only to see Greenwood in huge flames. Diablo goes outside with others and asks Shera about where she wants to stay. Kira then activates the flute spell again with his fingers, making Shera say that she wants to stay in Greenwood. However, this time, Diablo orders Shera to be truthful as his master. When Diablo said that, the enslavement collar freed Shera from Kira's spell. Finally back to her real self, Shera says that she wants to stay with Diablo and Rem forever. Hearing this, Kira gets pissed and summons a secret monster of the elves, the Force Hydra. Shera tells Diablo to run as this summon is Elves' trump card, but Diablo ignores her and prepares to fight the Hydra head-on. When his battle with the Hydra starts, Diablo uses his skill Heaven's Fall and destroys one of its heads, but the Hydra regenerates it immediately, and uses a spell of its own to push Diablo backward. As Diablo is thinking about how to defeat the dragon, Shera shouts from away and says that the Hydra has a core inside its body, and destroying the core will destroy the Hydra as well. However, Kira tells Diablo that finding the core is a fool's task as the Hydra moves his core throughout its huge body, making it almost impossible to find and destroy. Hearing this, Diablo says that he doesn't intend to find the core at all and uses a spell to surge lighting through Hydra's whole body, which destroys the core and kills the Hydra. After the Hydra is defeated, Diablo plans to kill Kira, but he is stopped by Shera. Shera says that Kira might be the worst brother ever, but he is still family. Hearing this, Diablo lets Kira flee the battle. As Kira was escaping, he gets beheaded by Galford, who appears out of nowhere with his army of fully armored soldiers. Celsior tries to attack Galford, but Galford easily knocks him down. He then orders his men to deal with the 11 soldiers in the forest and capture Shera. Diablo asks him if he wanted to control the Elven forest all along, but Galford doesn't answer it and traps him in a magical spell. Alicia tries to stop him, but Galford effortlessly breaks her sword. Seeing this, Diablo is surprised by Galford's fast movement and thinks that he must be over level 100. Diablo then breaks the barrier in which he was trapped by accessing the magical flow of the barrier and destroying its core. He then faces off with Galford and gets hurt for the first time since he got summoned to this world, but he quickly regenerates. After a brief fight, Diablo manages to overpower and defeat Galford. However, he refuses to kill him as he has lost interest in him because of his witness. Galford then threatens to submit a false report to the king about Diablo. Alicia hears this and says that she will submit a counter report about Galford's actions as well. Afterward, Galford leaves with his army and Diablo comforts a crying Shera who mourns the death of her brother. The next day in the inn, Diablo is out of mana and is angry because he didn't receive any reward for the quest as it was posted by Galford. Right after, Sylvie enters the room with an alcoholic mana recovery potion, and the two start to drink it. Diablo gets extremely drunk and thinks of Sylvie as a pillow. He throws her on the bed and does some frisky things to her. Alicia returns to the Kingdom of Liferia, which is the main country for all the races, to deliver a report to the king. On the way, she runs into a paladin named Sadler. When Sadler learns that Alicia is going back to the Faltra city, he mentions that he is going there too, as the head priestess prophesied about the revival of the demon lord in a western city. Elsewhere, Shera is practicing summoning something and manages to summon a turkey shot. Rem tells Shera that the summon has a special ability that allows the summoner to see everything through its eyes. Shera then decides to make a pact with the summon and uses the enslavement ritual on the summon, which puts a collar around its neck. Diablo makes Shera find a coin he threw through the help of the summon in order to demonstrate how she can use its ability effectively. Later, Rem and Alicia decide to take a bath in a lake, but Diablo refuses as he is too ashamed. Suddenly, Edelgard arrives out of nowhere and tells everyone that she is not here to fight and just simply wants to talk. She grabs Rem and confirms her suspicions that the souls of the demon lord Krebskolm reside in her. Rem then tells Shera about her secret as well, and the two have a heart-to-heart with each other. Edelgard then explains that there is a way to resurrect Krebskolm without putting Rem's life at risk. The only main thing that remains is if Diablo will be able to defeat Krebskolm once it appears. Diablo agrees to perform this ritual to summon Krebskolm, so Edelgard tells them to meet her at the top of the Starfall Tower after 3 days. Later, they go to the inn to eat lunch and they are joined by Alicia, who came from the Kingdom of Liferia. After they are done eating, the group goes outside and comes face to face with Sadler and his soldiers. Sadler introduces himself and says that he was bestowed godly power to deal with the people who reside with the demons. Sadler then goes aggressive towards Diablo when he claims that he is a demon lord. Rem speaks for Diablo's defense, but Sadler stops her using his power. Diablo then dispels the magic and frees Rem. Sadler then uses his spell that converts people into stone on Diablo, but Diablo reverses it using his ring and Sadler gets turned into stone. Diablo mentions that the effect will go away when the magic power in the spell dissipates. Later, Rem decides to tell Alicia about Krebskulm as well, and the group goes to the Starfall Tower to perform the Demon Lord summoning ritual. Edelgard sees Alicia among them and doesn't get surprised at all given that she wasn't there when they planned to meet here. Edelgard makes Rem lay on top of a stone tablet, and Diablo pours his magical power inside her through the belly button to reach the soul of Krebskulm, but fails. Edelgard then suggests Diablo to put his hand in her privates so he can reach the Demon Lord's soul using his magic. Eventually, Diablo is able to summon the Demon Lord. Krebskull turns out to be a little girl. Diablo gets into his character and prepares to fight with her. Krebskulm powers up and threatens to kill him in the worst way possible, but forgets about the worst way. Krebskulm is missing some of her memories, so Rem and Shera manage to convince her to not kill the mortals anymore. Alicia tries to tell Krebskulm that it is her job to kill mortals and makes Edelgard back her statements as well, but Krebskulm refuses as she is hungry. Shera then gives her a biscuit which she gets immediately addicted to. She then claims that her destiny is to devour all the biscuits in the world. Edelgard isn't happy but agrees to go with the Demon Lord's wishes. The group makes their way back to the city and encounters a fallen named Ulrich on the way who claims to have served Demon Lords for generations. Ulrich is disappointed seeing Krebskulm and thinks that she is an incomplete Demon Lord. He tries to attack her but Edelgard intervenes. However, Ulrich immediately gets the best of Edelgard and is about to kill her until Diablo intervenes and injures Ulrich, thus making him leave. Edelgard stays behind in the forest as she can't enter the facility because of her being a fallen. To hide her identity, Shera suggests everyone to call the Demon Lord Clem and make her wear clothes that cover her whole body. Later at the inn's room, Shera and Clem rub their naked bodies with Diablo to help him recover his mana. Elsewhere, Alicia thinks that the Demon Lord should do her job and rid the world of all the mortal races. Meanwhile, Sadler is freed from the spell as well, which turned him into stone. The next day, Diablo meets with Seals at the inn to talk about Clem. Seals reveals that she is happy because Clem is innocent and doesn't want to kill mortals, but she decides to keep an eye on her regardless. Later, Alicia takes Rem and Alicia out of the inn secretly and makes them face off with Sadler. She reveals her true nature to them and claims that she was the one who convinced Gallic to sacrifice himself so Gregor can be summoned into the city. Rem summons Asulau to defeat Sadler, but subordinates manage to restrain the summon so Sadler can finish it off. He then uses magic or Rem to restrain her. Just before Rem goes unconscious, Alicia whispers to her that Clem needs hatred to be her real self. Elsewhere, Diablo searches for the three girls and thinks that Sadler is behind their sudden disappearance. Sometime later, Rem awakens in an iron cage with Clem. Rem talks about her feelings and what she had to face because of Clem, which resulted in their bond becoming stronger. Sadler then takes Rem to torture so he can torture her for being a Demon Lord worshipper. Rem tries to ask Alicia for help, but she ignores her and leaves the child. On the other hand, Diablo is in the Adventurers Guild to get some help from its members, but before he could do that, a young boy comes and tells everyone that the girls were taken hostage by a paladin and tells Diablo that they were last seen at the church. Hearing this, Diablo immediately rushes toward the church. Meanwhile, Sadler has started torturing Rem. Clem wants to help her, but Rem refuses as she doesn't want her to lose her innocence. However, Clem couldn't help herself and accidentally reveals her identity. Once her identity is revealed, Sadler turns his attention towards Clem and tries to attack her, but Rem protects her by coming between the sword and Clem. Sadler then stabs several swords into Rem's back, which causes Clem to lose control and fully awaken as the Demon Lord. She immediately kills Sadler and destroys the whole church. Diablo arrives at the scene with Shera and gives her all of his healing potions so she can help Rem while he goes off to face Clem. A massive fallen army is standing outside the Faltra city, and they are being led by Edelgard and Ulrich. When Alicia joins the army as well, Ulrich gets confused about why she is here, but Edelgard tells him that she is the mastermind to fully resurrect the Demon Lord. Elsewhere, Disable faces off against Clem while she treats Rem's injuries. Diablo is dodging all of Clem's attacks while preparing an ultimate spell to defeat Clem. After the spell is complete and Diablo has laid 13 spell markings, he unleashes the spell which puts Clem down. Rem and Shera then approach Clem and have a heart-to-heart with her, which allows her to return back to her girl form. Since Emil was also present there, Diablo tells him to hide the fact that Clem is the Demon Lord, which Emil agrees to as he is an ally to all the women in the world. Outside the city, Ulrich is angry at Edelgard and Alicia because of their failed attempts. Edelgard then distracts the fallen army and allows Alicia to escape. Elsewhere, Sylvie meets up with Diablo and the group and deduces that she is the Demon Lord. She tells everyone that a fallen army is outside the city and thinks that Clem summoned it, even though Clem tells her that she didn't. Because of this, she can't let Clem roam around freely as a precaution. Hearing this, Diablo uses the enslavement ritual and makes Clem her slave so she can roam around freely. Later in the night, while everyone was in Diablo's room, Alicia arrives and takes Shera hostage. Alicia tells them that she will free Shera as long as they heal Edelgard, who got injured severely. Clem then heals Edelgard and orders her to stop killing mortals and prove that she is loyal to her. After all is settled, Alicia frees Shera and is ready to face all consequences of her actions. She tells everyone about her dark past and the corrupt elite people that used her for their benefit and made her like this. Diablo listens to all of it and relates to it, as he was used by other people in the real world as well. However, Alicia believes that she needs to suffer dire consequences for her actions and tries to commit suicide with a knife, but Diablo disintegrates the knife using his magic and stumbles due to lack of mana. Seeing this, all the girls prepare themselves to rub Diablo naked so he can recover his mana. That's all for today. How do you think the story of how not to summon a demon lord proceeds from this point? Let us know in the comments down below. Do leave a like and subscribe to our channel for more amazing content.